Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Can you hear the storm outside? It's not, I believe it's not Storm Ellen. I believe it's the anger, righteous anger of the Irish people who have had enough of this farce of a lockdown which has been imposed by the Irish government. My name is Hermann Kelly. I'm president of the Irish Freedom Party. We were told at the beginning of the lockdown it was justified because they said we wanted to flatten the curves, we wanted less people in hospital so less people would die. What is the situation now? There's 0 deaths, there's 21 people in hospital with COVID. And what was the government's reaction to that? They have ramped up testing to do roughly 10,000 tests per day. And how many cases are they getting? About 50 or 60 per day now, on average. That means of the 10,000 people tested, and if only 50 or 60 test positive, that means 99.5% of people have been found not to have the COVID virus. And even regarding that PCR test, it's quite inaccurate because it not only detects people who are positive for COVID-19, it also detects people who have already had it and have remnants of, say, nucleic acid in their body. I would ask you, and did anybody see that our Minister of Health, Steve Donnelly, in prime time last night? The guy is all at sea. He hasn't got a clue. He even said he's not up to speed. And yet, what does the government do? It doubles down. And with the help of the media, creating hysteria about now, new cases. Yes, and what do? They bring in a mishmash of contradictory measures, which again impose and constrain us in our natural freedoms to move around, to meet our friends, to go to the pub, to watch Gaelic football and hurling matches. They bankrupt businesses, they make people unemployed, they increase stress, there's been a massive increase in suicide. Since March in County Galway alone, there's been 21 suicides. This lockdown has got to end. And in regards to cases, I would ask you to watch this video now. It's from a guy called Ivor Cummins. You can see his website. It's www.thefatemperor.com. It's excellent. It talks about now the epidemic of COVID-19 is over. Now it's a case-demic. Please watch it.
I continue to get asked about the case-demic, so let me explain. Here we see many European countries, and they're all pretty much the same. Community immunity and the passing of the susceptible, like all viruses in history, has caused the death rate to come right down. Back here there was an epidemic with high death rates, sadly, of susceptible people, and now there is no epidemic by any reasonable definition because the death rates and ICU are right down. Here's Sweden. Intensive care loading, they only reached around 60% of capacity, and that was in the epidemic. But now there's no epidemic, and there's only 32 ICU beds in the whole of Sweden, 10.5 million people. And they had no lockdown, no masks, and they're kind of just completely back to normal here. But if you kept testing with PCR tests, as is happening all around Europe, you'd get a case-demic, and you could create a panic. So for PCR testing insights, you can go to CEBM PCR, searching in Google, and you get this excellent article. And the PCR is picking up people who are asymptomatic with no real problem. It's picking up people who had recovered from COVID a month or two ago. It's finding viral fragments. So the PCR test at this stage is driving hysteria inappropriately. I'll just show you a few countries and finish with that. Here's Spain. So we've recently, in the last month or two, got hyper testing and lots of so-called cases, positive PCRs. But the deaths are gone. In fact, they disappeared pretty much in May. Belgium, same story. Case-demic out here with positive PCRs, but no deaths or ICU. Ended in May. France, bit of a case-demic here, but the deaths are gone and the impacts. And Netherlands, we got a big case-demic going on with lots of testing, but you'll see months have gone by with no deaths, so there is no following death or ICU problem. That's a case-demic.
And in that regard, I want you to come out and show your support, show that you're opposed to this lockdown imposed by the government, that you want your natural freedoms back, and if the government aren't going to give them to you back, and it doesn't look as though they will, you need to take them back for yourself. So the march is on Saturday, the 22nd of August at 2 p.m. at the Customs House in Dublin, and I'd ask you to be there. There's two speakers from the Irish Freedom Party, Chairwoman Professor Dolores Cahill, and Vice Chairman of the Irish Freedom Party, Michael Leahy, and there'll be other speakers there as well. I'd ask you to please come along, show that you've had enough of this carry on, and that you want all your freedoms to be restored. You want your children to go to school. You want to be able to go and watch your kid play a hurling match or a football match, and you want your job back, your business back, and we want our life back. So put it up to government. Customs House in Dublin, Saturday 22nd at 2 p.m. I'll see you there. My name is Hermann Kelly. I'm President of the Irish Freedom Party. Gora Magatsa.